So without further ado, I'll just move on to the product traceability. So understanding essentially where your product comes in, where your project originates from, and essentially where it ends up throughout the supply chain is quite a critical piece of information, especially if you're dealing with the food industry. So even if you're just literally another step in the supply chain network, or whether you're actually manufacturing finished articles, whether it would be baking cakes or so on, through and you're utilizing a load of raw materials such as flour and eggs and milk and yeast and so on, chances are that you want to know essentially where that comes from in order to ensure that it's actually all above board and so on. So within LINKFRESH, we already have a number of strong traceability tools. So as it stands, we have the ability to track and trace items as they come in as batches through the item tracking code. However, what we've done is we've expanded that to encompass the some of the stringent remit of the product traceability or initiative. So new for LINKFRESH this year, we've introduced the ability to track and trace items utilizing a global trade identification number, or in the industry referenced as GTIN. What I've got here is an example of an item that I've actually got a GTIN reference pointing to. Now for LINKFRESH, the global trade identification number is essentially a supply chain tool. It allows you to take traceability information from your suppliers or growers, for example, record that into the LINKFRESH solution, and throughout the entire life cycle of that product or products within the LINKFRESH solution, we have that traceability. This all boils down to even when we're looking at manufacturing, which I'll show you a little bit later on. In terms of traceability, what we have these, I'm just going to navigate to a typical intake document and to give you an idea of the information, the level of information that we can view here. So as it stands, we're looking at a global trade identification document lines. So this is essentially tracking at a document level for all the relevant product that's sitting on a document, in this case an inbound purchase order document. So this is an intake document. This is where we are taking in the product and we are giving it its own identification number. Alternatively, we have the ability to actually generate tracking information utilizing external references. So for example, if you're receiving documents coming in from any type of electronic file, we have the ability to preload that information into the LINKFRESH suite utilizing EDI functionality or another piece of LINKFRESH functionality, manifest processing. So we can preload that and information into the system, and we can either generate our own references should we just wish to initiate the stepping stone or the search or the traceability functionality, or we can take our suppliers tracking information and traceability information and draw that into the system here. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've actually got our own GTIN references that I've asked LINKFRESH to generate for me, and there is a separate management area contained which is works on the same principle of typical management areas such as pricing and so on. It's a similar sort of format to that. Once that information is received into the system, it's actually stored within another management area, the system called GTIN batches. So within the supply chain module, we've introduced a new document type, GTIN batches, which if I just double click on one, you can clearly see that we actually have an indication as to what GTIN is, and more to the point, the product that the traceability is actually initiated for is actually the item in question here. We have the standard generic tracking or batch number, as you can see here, and we have a full view of essentially all the different types of transactions that that product has actually hit upon or has been used for. We also have the ability to view whence it came, and we have, if I just navigate to our lot information card, you can see here that this is another area whereby we have the ability to view all tracing information for that product as well. And again, new for supply chain, we've introduced the GTIN reference there as well. In terms of traceability, LINKFRESH and now as it stands comes as standard with a number of powerful tracing tools, one of which is item tracing. But what we've done is we've expanded that to now encompass the GTIN information. So again, this could be value that we've generated as we've brought the product in, just for our own traceability and peace of mind, or it could be an external GTIN reference, tracking reference that we've been provided by our suppliers. And as you can see here, I initially received the product in, and some of it has actually still remained on hand. However, some of it has actually been used on production. So even if I'm actually consuming this raw material, and again, this could be anything such as eggs to make bread or cakes and so on, all the way through to just chopping up vegetables to make a salad and so on. We have the ability to say that this item has actually in fact been consumed, and that's actually made up, or part of it has actually made up this finished article here. So even in an example whereby it's gone, it's literally gone out the system, it's now transformed from its originating state to something else, we can still have the traceability to see where it eventually ends up within the network. So in a nutshell, just to give you an idea, that is some of the new features that we've introduced for product traceability. The idea is that there are additional reporting tools that one can actually extract from item tracing, and in order to actually send that out to interrogate the data and so on and so forth. But the idea is this provides the solution with a better reference through the supply chain network of where the product has originated from and where it ends up.